She asked, "Can you take her instead of me?" What the rancher did next changed everything. Watch till the end, like and subscribe for more heartwarming stories. In the heart of Texas, where endless fields stretched beneath the golden sun, a young girl walked slowly toward the old ranch house. Her small frame seemed fragile against the vastness of the land, and the wind tugged at her dress as if urging her to turn back. She clutched a small bundle in her arms, but the trembling of her hands betrayed her fear. Birds circled above, their distant calls echoing across the quiet plains. Every step she took made the ground beneath her seem heavier, as though the earth itself understood the weight of her request. The rancher, a man with broad shoulders and skin weathered like leather, noticed her approach from the porch. His eyes, sharp and observant, softened as they fell on the girl. He had seen many wander across his land, some seeking work, others seeking shelter, but none had come carrying such a fragile burden. The rancher's gaze then shifted to the small lamb huddled near the fence, its coat thin and patchy, its tiny frame shivering against the cold morning air. The sight stirred something deep inside him, a memory perhaps, or a reminder of what it meant to protect. The girl stopped a few feet away, lowering her bundle so that the lamb could be seen more clearly. Her voice, soft and uncertain, barely rose above the whispering wind. "Can you take her instead of me?" she asked. The words hung in the air, fragile yet powerful, as if each syllable carried the weight of her hope and fear combined. Her wide eyes looked up at the rancher, searching for a sign, an answer, anything that would reassure her heart. She felt a lump rise in her throat, and a single tear escaped, sliding slowly down her cheek. The rancher stepped forward, his boots sinking slightly into the soft earth, leaving deep impressions that marked the passage of a man who had walked these lands for decades. His hands, strong and calloused, told stories of long days under the scorching sun, of cattle wrangling and fences mended in the harshest of conditions. Yet as he looked at the girl and the tiny creature, a softness entered his gaze, and for the first time in a long while, the rancher seemed unsure. The weight of her request was clear, and he understood that it was more than a simple favor. It was a plea born of love and desperation. The lamb shivered again, tiny hooves pressing against the dirt, as if sensing the uncertainty in the moment. Its small head lifted, and for a brief instant the rancher could see the fragility of life mirrored in its eyes. The girl stepped closer, her tiny hands outstretched, almost as if she was offering her heart along with the lamb. Time slowed, stretching each second into an eternity, while the wind carried the soft rustle of the grass around them. No sound interrupted the quiet, except for the distant call of a hawk, circling high above, witnessing the unfolding moment below. The rancher's eyes moved between the girl and the lamb, his mind recalling his own childhood on this very land. He remembered a young boy standing where she now stood, frightened, uncertain, and pleading for something precious. The memories of lost innocence and lessons learned in silence stirred emotions he rarely allowed himself to feel. A slow nod passed over his face, subtle yet profound, acknowledging the courage it took for the girl to ask. He remained silent, letting his actions speak before words could form. In that stillness, he communicated understanding, empathy, and a promise yet unspoken. The girl's heart raced as she waited for a response, her hands trembling as she brushed the lamb's coat gently. Each breath seemed louder than the last, and she held herself rigid, afraid that movement might shatter the fragile bond forming in that moment. She had hoped someone would see the worth of this little creature, someone who could care for it when she could not. And now, as the rancher's eyes met hers again, she dared to hope, allowing a small smile to touch her lips. The tension in her body eased slightly, replaced by a delicate thread of trust. Finally, the rancher stepped closer, kneeling to bring himself to the girl's level. His large hand hovered over the lamb, steadying it, offering silent reassurance. There was no rush, no demand, only a quiet acknowledgement that this decision mattered deeply. He looked into the girl's eyes, seeing the honesty and the love that fueled her request. Slowly, deliberately, he extended his other hand, gesturing for the girl to step back while he took the lamb gently in his arms. The action, simple yet profound, was a silent promise. No one would be left behind on this land, not while he had the strength to act. The girl stepped back, feeling a mixture of relief and disbelief. Her lips parted, ready to speak, but words failed her. All she could do was watch as the rancher cradled the tiny lamb against his chest, its body warming in his strong arms. He turned toward the ranch house, every step deliberate, and the lamb nestled closer, comforted by the presence of someone who had chosen to care. The sun rose higher in the sky, casting a golden glow over the scene, as if blessing the beginning of a new chapter for both the girl and the fragile creature she had fought to protect. The rancher paused at the doorway, glancing back one last time. The girl, standing alone for a moment, felt a sense of hope she had not known before. Though her voice had trembled and her hands had shaken, her courage had brought change. In that fleeting moment, she understood that sometimes the right choice was not about sacrifice, but about trust. The trust that the heart could guide someone to do what words could not ask. And as the rancher stepped inside, holding the lamb with care, the girl knew that life had shifted in ways she could not yet imagine. The world outside remained vast and uncertain, but for the first time she felt a quiet assurance. Someone had seen her plea, understood its depth, and acted with kindness. And though she did not know what tomorrow would bring, she had learned a simple truth. Courage, no matter how small, could ripple through the world in ways that even the largest fields could not contain. The rancher held the lamb close for a moment, feeling its tiny body shiver against his chest. Then he turned toward the girl, crouching so that his eyes met hers. His hand rested gently on her shoulder, firm yet comforting, as if to say that she was not alone in her worries. "You both come with me," he said softly, his voice carrying a warmth that seemed to melt the morning chill. The girl blinked, unable to comprehend the kindness in his words. She had expected to lose her companion, yet here was someone offering more than she had dared to hope. Her eyes widened, disbelief mingling with hope. "Both?" she whispered, her voice trembling as she tried to grasp the reality of the moment. The rancher smiled faintly, a shadow of nostalgia crossing his face. "Sometimes you save one and end up saving two," he said, his words gentle yet filled with the certainty of experience. The girl felt a lump rise in her throat. The weight of fear and loneliness she had carried for so long seemed to lift, replaced by a fragile but growing sense of belonging. They walked together across the ranch, the sun rising higher and casting long golden shadows over the open fields. The girl's small hand occasionally brushed against the lamb, which had begun to relax under the rancher's steady care. Every step she took felt lighter, the wind seeming to carry away the heaviness that had settled in her chest. The rancher said little, letting the land and the moment speak, teaching her that silence could hold as much power as words. She began to notice the subtle rhythms of the ranch, the lowing of cattle in the distance, the rustle of the grass, the occasional bark of a dog patrolling the perimeter. As the day unfolded, the girl learned how to tend to the animals, guided by the rancher's patient instructions. She fed the chickens, swept the barn, and learned to recognize the signs of a sick or frightened creature. Each task, no matter how small, became a lesson in responsibility and empathy. The rancher watched her closely, offering guidance when needed, but allowing her to discover her own strength. Slowly, she began to understand the quiet power of kindness, not as something grand or dramatic, but as something steady, persistent, and life-changing. The lamb, once frail and trembling, began to show signs of growth and confidence. Its legs grew stronger, its coat thicker, and its eyes brighter. The girl took immense pride in these changes, seeing them as a reflection of her own courage and care. In the evenings, she would sit under the wide Texas sky, the lamb nestled beside her, feeling a bond that words could not fully capture. The rancher sometimes joined them, offering a quiet smile or a gentle story from his past. These moments, simple yet profound, wove a sense of family and trust that neither had known before. Weeks turned into months, and the girl's presence on the ranch became integral. She learned to ride horses, mend fences, and even track the weather by the signs in the sky. Each accomplishment, no matter how small, filled her with confidence and joy. The rancher noticed her growing independence, but also the unwavering care she continued to show for the lamb. The two became inseparable, their bond a constant reminder that compassion could transform even the loneliest hearts. The rancher, once a solitary figure, began to experience the quiet happiness that comes from nurturing life and witnessing love bloom. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, the girl looked around the ranch with awe. The fields seemed endless, yet every corner held a memory of growth, of challenges overcome, and of bonds forged. She turned to the rancher, her voice soft but full of gratitude. "Thank you for taking us both," she said. The rancher simply nodded, a faint smile touching his lips. No words were needed. The act of saving two lives, and in the process changing another, had said everything that needed to be said. The seasons changed, and with them came new challenges, storms that threatened the barns, sick animals that required immediate care, and days of hard labor under the blazing sun. Yet, through every trial, the girl and the lamb faced them together, strengthened by the rancher's guidance and the lessons of trust and resilience. The ranch became a sanctuary, not just for animals, but for the girl's spirit, a place where she could grow, learn, and love without fear. And in the quiet moments of reflection, she realized that life's greatest lessons often arrive in the form of small, courageous choices. Eventually, the girl understood a truth that would stay with her forever. Kindness is contagious, and love has the power to ripple through every life it touches. The rancher had not only saved a lamb, but had given the girl a chance to grow, to heal, and to find her place in the world. She held the lamb close as they watched the sunset, realizing that their journey had only just begun. In a world where choices often seemed impossible, sometimes the right decision was the one that opened the heart to more than anyone imagined.